1999, Morpheus offered Neo a choice between a red pill and a blue pill. In 2018, this country fractured between red and blue. In 2022, I'm here to tell you that if you really want the truth, more voters are neither red or blue. Yet, they have no representation, no choice, and no options. They have to choose between candidates chosen by the red people or the blue people. I'm David Esrati, and I'm running for Congress as an American, as in red, white, and blue. I'm a veteran, an activist, and a small businessman. I'm asking you to join me in reminding the professional politicians in Congress who their bosses are. I support ranked choice voting, campaign finance reform, and a verified voter information system, all so we can stop having the best politicians money can buy. It's time to elect a veteran who will work for you, no matter what color they want to label you. Please go to electesrati.com and learn more. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. Jurassic Park, you thought those little baby dinosaurs were cute until they turned into out-of-control carnivores. That's sort of what happens to government when we elect people based on very expensive advertising campaigns and propaganda. I'm David Esrati. I'm a veteran and a small businessman running for Congress. You don't want professional ad people and pollsters to sway your vote. All those hot-button issues like gun control, abortion, borders are all politicized to stop you from voting rationally. And thinking rationally seems to be in short supply these days. Most Americans have been voting against their own best self-interest for a long time because we've allowed money to buy our leaders. 1 million Americans died in the last 2 years because our leaders couldn't lead. It wasn't that hard. Mask, distance, test, and then vaccinate. In an instant, we had billions to spend on healthcare for COVID, when for years we've been told we can't provide healthcare for everyone equally in this country. That's an unintended consequence of the pandemic. If you think about it, our government can pretty much do whatever it wants, or what the people who buy our politicians tell our leaders to do. We also had a ton of money to prop up businesses. The next thing you know, it turns out that a living wage was not only possible, but necessary. As a small businessman who won't sell you out to corporate interests and lobbyists, I can tell you that it's time to fully understand the consequences of companies like Amazon, Facebook, and Google and their effect on small business, and to remind you that small business is the #1 creator of jobs in this country. So this next election, don't trust this ad or any other political ad. Do your homework and think before you vote. It's time to put this ad man in Congress because I know that the best advertising is based on the truth, not the size of the budget or payola. Or you can just vote based on who has the money to buy their way into Congress and live with the consequences. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. Hi, I'm David Esrati, and I'm running for Congress. I do this every day, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. What is this? This is a live stream where you can interact with a candidate just like you would at a town hall. Something Mike Turner, my opponent, hasn't done in 20 years that he's been in Congress. In fact, nobody can get an appointment with him. They can't talk to him, not unless they're big donors. And I mean big donors. His average donation is $1,600 plus, and he's got over 20 billionaires donating to him. So, what are we talking about today? Well, we talk about something different every day and try to make it relevant, pertinent, and discuss an issue. And today we're going to talk about Brittney Griner. Now, who's Brittney Griner? So what? She's a basketball player. She's a women's basketball player. She's a very good women's basketball player, and I love women's basketball. Those are all fine and dandy. But what happened was she went to Russia to play basketball because apparently in Russia they pay you a lot more to play basketball as a woman than they do here, which is something we could solve, but we don't. But she got caught in possession of some vape cartridges full of hash oil or marijuana residue or whatever, and she got sentenced to 9 years. All of a sudden, we're in a big brouhaha and a rush to get poor Brittney out of prison in Russia, and we're going to also get a guy who's been there for 2 years who we didn't even care about until now, and we're going to exchange them for an international arms dealer. Are you kidding me? The United States incarcerates more of its own people for drug possession than Brittney Griner. We have over 200,000 people incarcerated right now for drug possession in this country. Are we going to worry about them? Are we going to get them out? Are we going to take care of people with drug problems in this country? Oh no, just celebrities, just rich people. So I decided to do a little Googling to find out what other celebrities had been caught and actually did jail time. And I found some that had been caught. Going back to Louis Armstrong in 1930, was caught possession of marijuana. And it was in California, and he was facing 6 months in prison and a $1,000 fine. Back then, $1,000 was a lot of money. But the charge was later dropped. Then we have Willie Nelson, who's a big-time proponent of marijuana. He was arrested in 2006 in Louisiana with 1.5 pounds of marijuana and 3 ounces of narcotic mushrooms were found by the police in his tour bus. Nelson and 4 of his passengers were charged with misdemeanor for possessing the drugs. If it had been determined that just Nelson alone had possessed them, he could have faced a felony charge, but we're talking about, wait a second, 1.5 pounds of pot? Isn't that a lot? But no, he's Willie Nelson, so he didn't go to prison. I bet if he was black and from Dayton's West Side, he'd be spending a lot more time behind bars. Matthew McConaughey was arrested at his home in Austin, get this, in 1999, where he was playing bongos naked. He was booked on suspicion of possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of marijuana, and resisting transportation. He spent 9 hours in a county jail, then was released on a $1,000 bond, and the drug charge was dropped. Now, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, he got a little more trouble than the rest of them. He was caught with marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and a .357 Magnum, and he spent 6 months in the Los Angeles County Jail and a year in state prison in California, as well as several years of probation. Actress Misha Baron from the show The O.C., 2007, she was arrested for driving under the influence, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of marijuana. She spent 7 whole hours in jail and was released on bail, and she got a probated 3-year sentence, a fine of $2,000, and had to take a 3-month education class on drug use. Okay, and we have Lindsay Lohan, who's been arrested a bunch of times. You know, that's the mean girl. And DUI, and she spent time, numerous times in jail, from 84 minutes to several weeks. Tell me about somebody who's done all those things locally, who's only spent a couple weeks in jail. You spend a couple weeks in jail just waiting to go to court. Tim Allen, before he was famous, he spent 2 years and 4 months in prison for 650 milligrams of cocaine. And he got out of a lifetime sentence because he decided to turn on other dealers. He turned their names in. So, not a drug charge, but Martha Stewart, she only spent, 5 months in a West Virginia federal prison for false stock and insider trading. 5 months. And, you know, here's the Mac Daddy of them all. OJ spent 9 years for armed robbery and kidnapping. He was released in 2017, even though the original sentence was 33 years. So he served 9 of 33. So, what is going on here? Is there a different standard for drug possession between rich people and poor people? Does it only matter if they're famous? And is drug possession really a crime, or is it an issue with mental health, which we don't provide for either in this country? But I find it fascinating, again, that a lot of people seem to be very upset about Brittney being held by Vladimir Putin and not about the 200,000 people in this country that are behind bars right now. We spend an awful lot of money keeping people locked up in places that are not set up to take care of mental health issues, to do rehab, to do drug treatment, any of those things. Maybe if we redirected our resources and worked to make sure that people who have drug addictions don't have these problems. And again, now marijuana is legal for medical use in quite a few states and some states for recreational use. We have to look at how expensive it is and who's making the money, because it's always about the money. I've got an employee who uses medical marijuana to deal with colitis and saves thousands of dollars a month compared to the drugs that the pharmaceuticals companies want him to take, and he gets much better results from medical marijuana. So, this is a town hall. You can ask questions, you can say something, we can respond, or we can just move on. I got a few other things to touch upon if I don't see any questions. And again, we'll be back here tomorrow. If you have any ideas for conversations, we will have, you can put them in comments, we'll see them, we'll bring it up for a subject tomorrow. Every day we sit there and what are we going to talk about today? And we put our heads together and come up with a good subject. So, my t-shirts are both on the website. For a minimum of $100 donation, you can get either one. If you've donated before, you've been sent instructions on how to claim your t-shirt if you so want it. And we are probably going to have some other things coming up, including a fundraiser. I'm working on getting some big name to come and headline the act, and so we can get some people to come and enjoy themselves, because nobody really wants to go out and pay money to hear a politician go on and on when they can see me do this every day for free, right? And we'll have some good food, we'll have some good times, and we will give people an opportunity to sort of get around the donation system that records everybody's names. That's the beauty of fundraisers. They don't track the same way that they do donations, because our system really isn't about tracking donors in real time or in reality. It's self-reported and it's kind of lame. So, there you have it. One piece of news that we found from 2020 was Mike Turner spent $70,000 on food and beverages from 2017 to 2020, and they were thinking that was a shock. Well, in his latest campaign finance report for the first 6 months of this year, he spent $37,000 on food and beverage. That's a lot of meals out, Mikey, with your donors' money. I can guarantee you, if I had $37,000 from you guys, I would not be buying food with it for anybody. I wouldn't be wining and dining. I'd be campaigning. So, unfortunately, we run the best elections, the best auctions we can as elections, and we get the best politicians money can buy. And I would like your donations. I don't see any questions. I don't see any comments. We're going to make this a short one. Apparently, nobody cares about Brittney Griner and her drug charges out of the people I know, which should be saying something. But we hope that we come up with some sort of real reform on who's in prison and for what. Because prison's really for people who are dangerous to society, not people who are dangerous to themselves. We got to work on that in a different way. I'm David Esrati. I'm running for Congress. Ohio 10 includes all of Montgomery County, all of Greene County, and parts of Clark County. My opponent is Mike Turner, who's already raised $1 million from over 20 billionaires and counting. I don't even know a billionaire, and I want to be your congressman. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.